Hello and welcome to the finale of the Masters mod. Now if you're new here, the Masters mod is a full rebalance of the game, and it's actually made by Seraph. You can see it's not a link in the description, but you can copy and paste the URL, so if you want to try it out yourself, I highly recommend it. Now the main, not gimmick, but the main thing about this mod is that it is completely grindless. So all of the normal random encounters, they are very hard, but they don't give any XP, they don't give any gil. So really it's just you have to move from place to place. You get drip fed different equipment from bosses, as well as some of the chests around, and maybe little things that you get from the people that you talk to along the way. Because sometimes you get some armor skills on weapons and weapon skills on armor. So it can really definitely impact a lot of strategies for a couple of bosses, depending on who gets certain drops. So you do definitely get everything that you need, but then there is that little bit of randomness from the equipment drops, even though really your main party does still have a lot of the same archetypes, because their movesets are different, but you have a lot of flexibility, especially with Kamari, and then you have access to a couple of skill spheres, a couple of white magic spheres, things like that. So again, I highly recommend that you play this for yourself, because it is a challenge and a half in a good way. If you want to go back and see from the beginning how I did it, my style is kind of after the fact recording, so plus I've gotten all the way up to this point before I actually started the challenge on YouTube. But if you want more of like a live reaction, thinking things out as they come, then check out Burke's playthrough on the Dansgo8 channel. If you know anything about Final Fantasy X, then he's probably the Final Fantasy X YouTuber, and that's how I found the mod. But with the montage over, now it's time for Pennance, or in this mod, the Seraph. But, of course, we definitely need to prepare for this fight. You'll see I'm buying lots of Phoenix Downs, and Remedies, and Albed Potions, but I'm also selling a whole lot of equipment, and the normal potions and high potions, because, you'll see during the fight. Now, Titus's loadout is pretty similar to my last attempt. He's still using the auto potion that I got from the Sin. Originally, it wasn't alchemy, but after reading the patch notes, it's been turned into an auto potion. Then the Zombie Strike Shield from Unileska is a good amount of little extra damage, because the right arm gets White Wind every now and then, so every little bit of damage helps. And Titus is all about damage right now, as I'm giving him break damage limit and all 4 elements. But I am giving him auto shell, because he doesn't have any ailment protection at all. And the Tranquil and Violent End are very bad if, especially the Tranquil End petrifies and shatters him. So we can't let that happen. Now Yuna has a lot of flexibility, and I'm going to use full advantage of that to essentially make her unkillable. Well, I won't say unkillable, but the most resistant to everything. She's going to get all of the ailment resistances that matter. So Sleep, Berserk, Confuse, Stone, Doom, Curse, and Armor, Mental, all the breaks. That way she can be on the front line and help out with healing, because now I'm giving her the quick pockets as well, or warping her over there, and then giving her a little bit of evasion, because she ends up getting a lucky dodge, then, that's just less healing. But I'm also giving her triple overdrive, because we're gonna need those Aeons for sure. And as a little bit of extra insurance, I'm actually teaching Bahamut and Valfor full break and Sloga, because Bahamut can actually hit the damage cap, and really I just want to make sure that they can bail us out if we get in a sticky situation, just in case one of the arms catches us off guard with a White Wind or a Mighty Guard. Now Auron is simple. He's using his status protection that I used on the Bahamut fight, and he has his auto shell auto protect weapon that we got from Anima. If we don't need to spend a turn healing up his ailment, then that way he can just hit the thing that he needs to debuff, and we don't have to worry about that. So we just give him blind proof, and then he's basically bulky enough to survive one hit from pretty much anything. And now in the endgame, Waka is the slowest member of the party. Now he's had his time in the limelight, but when it comes to everything of the Seraph and the 2 arms, like, there's no use to blind, silent, sleep, all that stuff. So I'm just giving him first strike and giving him a decently protective armor set, so if he needs to, he can come in, do a magic break to help the party survive, but really he's just switching out right away, letting the other guys do the work. Now Lulu is my anchor in this fight, and her getting the Tetra Ward on the Bahamut drop weapon is actually insane. That combined with her speed, bulk, and evasiveness makes it so that she can actually be the second damage dealer, but she'll also be able to stay on the front line for a long time. So, giving her half MP cost is great for all the magic damage, and then also spamming quick pockets. Not only that, but I'm teaching her use, because, there's so much versatility in use. Then I'm using the same armor that I've been having on her for a while. The Energy Preserver is great because not only does it keep her tankiness intact, but it really makes it so that her damage is consistent. Then giving her the Ribbon and the Auto Phoenix makes it so that she doesn't have to worry about anything else, and when she's on the field, she can quickly revive everyone without spending an extra turn. Now, Kamari's an interesting case. I originally had him to be an elemental tank because he had the Lightning Eater weapon, but I've changed my strategy to essentially make him a quicker Orin. So he has this Blind and Silence Proof and Sense Preserver. I'm giving him Sleep Proof, but he's also getting triple Overdrive because I'm going to be making use of some Doom and some Mighty Guard. Then on the armor, again, I'm focusing a lot on the ailments, with Curse Proof being essential because, again, the Mighty Guard and the Doom are very nice, and just a little bit of HP to make it so that you can survive one of basically anything once he's set up. Then I'm also teaching him use because that way he'll be able to contribute to a lot of the random bits and bobs that need to be done during the fight. Now Riku's basically just going to be an HP tank. Now her best weapon is the Lightning Eater and Alchemy, so I'm using that, but because of that there's really not too much flexibility with her kit. But luckily, being Riku, she's super fast, so with her quick pockets and half MP, I'll be able to essentially just get in, do whatever healing I need, and get out before the arms hit. Because the main body doesn't give out many statuses, and the ones that it does give out doesn't really affect Riku. So, yeah, she'll be able to tank a lot of the main body hits and get out, but when it comes to the arms, I'll definitely want her to not be on the field whenever they move. But now, with all the preparations out of the way, it's time.
Here we go!
So the opening phase is critical. Essentially, you do get a couple of free turns because the arms will do their buffing moves, and the main body will do Heartless Angel, which will bring everyone down to 1 HP, so I use these turns to haste everybody up and switch Orin from his first strike weapon to his protect weapon. I won't do that with Titus's weapon quite yet, because there's more important things to do. That being getting Kamari on the field, teaching him Doom, and then putting that Doom on the left arm before it gets a chance to move. Now, in addition to this, Lulu's starting to get set up as well, with her double HP. Then after the White Wind, we definitely want to make sure that the arms are slowed down, and we need to make sure that the Mighty Guard is off of the main body. When the left arm resurrects, if the main body already has Mighty Guard on it, it'll actually cast Hastiga instead, so we can't let that happen. So there's a trade-off of, well, so the boss will delay its turn, but it will spend that turn buffing itself instead, so that's just part of the balance of this fight. So I do definitely keep notes of the move patterns of the main body. Now, of course, it does start off with Heartless Angel, but then after that, it always uses Arcane Seal, and that is a physical attack with all elements. So you can nullify that with a Elemental Null All. Then it always follows up the Arcane Seal with an Ultima. But after that, the attack pattern gets a little bit wonky. because it could use a Searing Light, which does half of your max HP and also curses, or it could go for the Angel again. So after the Ultima, you definitely want to heal up in case it's the Searing Light that pops out. But if it's the Angel that pops out, then, well, it won't kill you, so there's at least that. You just need to make sure that there are no arm moves directly after, because if they do a party attack after an Angel, then that's game over. But in order to get through the main body's attacks, you need to make sure that you're taking at least, or at most, a quarter damage. So whether that's by doubling HP, getting the appropriate Shell or Protect, getting the appropriate magic or power break, those are all very important. Oh, and then you can also do the Tetra Ward too on the customization. So that's why I have Kamara use his Mighty Guard on the girls who don't have the auto shell, because no matter what you do, that Ultima is going to hit insanely hard, especially if you get a mental break on you. But that's just a defensive setup. So now with the offensive setup, I want to full break both the main body and the right arm. Again, I went through the main body's moveset, but the right arm does mostly physical attacks, but the Tranquil End is magical, and you do not want the petrified Tranquil End to actually knock someone out. Being petrified is fine, because, you know, actually being stone does actually make it so that every attack that would hit you just does nothing. Not only that, but if you're like full broken or have any debuffs or statuses, it'll wipe that out too. So if you have like an auto shell, auto haste, whatever, then once you unstone yourself, you're actually pretty set. But if it ends up actually bringing the HP to 0, then that shatters them and they're out of the game, and that's just reset worthy. Then I guess it's notable that Divine Ice will slow the party, so make sure to reapply haste after that. Now the left arm I'll actually only magic break, because all of its damage is just magical. But remember, between the two arms, they will throw every status and ailment that is in the game at you. So that's why I have my more statusy, tanky people out front whenever their turn comes up, and especially if it turns out that they're about to do their Tranquil or Violent End, because those just do a lot of statuses, and if you're not prepared for that, then that's also a game over. But once you get your guys all powered up and the enemy all powered down, then the spell to make sure that it's not mighty guarded, then reapply full break, and then you're ready for the damage. And in my case, the big damage is Titus with his quick hits, doing 70,000 to 99999 with a crit, or you get Lulu with her double fire agas, fire water agas, whatever's, to get around 50 or 60,000. But then you can also throw out a Poison Fang for everyone that has use to just do some good poison damage over time. Just keep a watch out on Judgment Day. Make sure that you have plenty of turns before the boss's actual turn, so that way you can get an Aeon out directly when it's about to pop, because the arms can definitely take out an Aeon very easily. Then it's also a good idea to use some of the elemental Aeons, because with the Mighty Guard they won't actually attack the arms, and that can be a good thing, because you really don't want a White Wind or a Hastiga to be applied to the main boss at all once your guys aren't there to respond. Now once we get into phase 2, all the brakes are off. The Searing Light will get replaced by the Eye of God, and I'm not sure on the specifics of this attack, but I do know that it does an absolute crazy amount of damage. But lucky enough, it only targets one party member. But at this point, I'm really just trying to blitz down as much damage as I can as fast as I can, so instead of doing the Dispel and reapplying full break, I'm just throwing some quick Purifying Salts, because I still have 4 of those, and that way it doesn't actually get rid of the brakes on the enemy. You'll also see Titus a little bit more on the front line because with his auto potion and the fact that I only have X potions, he'll be able to take one hit with his double HP and then re-potion up. So that's a pretty good combo there, it saves a lot of turns. And then I do get very lucky because when he gets petrified, he actually gets targeted by the Eye of God, so he doesn't get hurt by that at all. So it's just very lucky there. Then you'll also see a little bit less of Yuna because what I'm actually doing is I'm having her on the front line to essentially charge up her overdrive and be, good support for that. But once she gets her overdrive, I am getting her out of there because if she gets delayed or if it just turns out that she doesn't have a turn right before the boss or something smacks her and focuses her down and she goes down, then that's game over because those judgment days are coming out fast now, and yeah, we need her to be ready and available. But once you know the fight enough and you know your characters enough so that you know who's going to be able to survive what, if you keep track of some of the boss's turns and you have, the Aeon Shield or the Aeon ready on deck, you can get through this. And I mean, it took me quite a few tries, but we got there. And now I have a confession to make. I've actually never beat the vanilla Pennance. I've never even beat the original Dark Aeons. Now, that's why I really do appreciate this mod, because it makes it so that the challenge is actually very accessible when it comes down to the no grind, because it's just, I don't know, I just could never get into the tedium of maxing out the monster arena and getting all of the Spira grid, because at that point it's just like, well, if your guys are so strong, then all that you do is just fight bosses. So at least with this one, the power curve is just so much nicer. So thank you so much, Carifian, for making this mod. It was a ton of fun. And with Pennance down, I'll just show you my final inventory, and I kind of want to give a quick recap on all the characters along the way. Starting off, we have, and he's been consistently great. Early game, he is your consistent physical damage dealer, and for sure, like, his cheer is very useful early on. Then mid game into late game, he's still very good with the damage, but his access to haste and slow, and then his first strike with Brotherhood, if you combine that with Orin and his first strike, if you give it to him like I did, it can be very powerful to threaten down a single enemy, and yeah, it's just, Titus is always good, especially as you see now, where he hits very hard, and with the proper setup, you can even get him use without needing to spend any special spears. Yuna is interesting. Early game, really a lot of your win conditions are being able to get an Aeon off, and then she does help you survive with the null elemental magic, so she is very good at that. Mid game, she really isn't the most useful, I want to say, but when it comes to the late game, I was actually able to do very well with the auto haste or the SOS haste and auto life combo. Not only that, but she actually gets used naturally in this mod, so I mean, she is very good. And then, of course, in this last fight, it's absolutely crucial to get an Aeon out when really huge hits coming up, and that happens with a bunch of bosses too. Wakka is interesting because really, he's super useful with quick alchemy access and then the statuses, but you really don't want to use him because at the beginning he has such few MP uses, and at the end he's so slow. So it's a very interesting dynamic where you need to use him, but really just as a last resort. So I think that's actually really good balance because again, you need him, but he's kinda hard to work with. Lulu, on the other hand, she's been the MVP of the run for sure. Once you get Demi and then even double Demi, that's fantastic. She is slow at the beginning, but I mean, she's also very evasive. So there are some times where she'll just get a lucky dodge and it just makes the game so much better. Her damage is consistently good, and even when things are like immune to elemental attacks, she has death. So yeah, death and bio. So Lulu really shines in this mod for sure, especially if you route her down Riku's path so she can get a lot more HP and speed. Now Auron is awesome. Now again, he is also super slow all through the mid game, all through the early game, but if you're like me and give him first strike, that is so powerful with intentionally slowing him and then using him to threaten either a boss that isn't immune to it or just a really difficult random encounter enemy. Not only that, but he has access to all of his breaks, which are crucial to surviving and also doing some good damage. And he's so tanky with his moveset of Sentinel and all of his counterattack access that even though he's super slow, a lot of the times you don't actually need him to act on his own turn. Now Riku is always strong, and well, she's always fast, and that's what makes her good, especially with all of the items that she can throw out. Now the thing is with this mod, because it is that, yeah, you really don't want to overuse a lot of things. She can kind of stall a little bit on the random encounters, but if you teach her good moves like Sleep Buster, then that can be hugely useful for your crowd control. Then of course she can still do some really good damage with Copycat Demi or Copycat really double cast anything, so Riku is always still a good part of the party. Then finally there's Kamari, and Kamari is by sure the wild card of the party because everyone's probably going to build him a little bit different. I sent him down Titus's path right after he got everything in his own but the magic, and then after that I sent him back to Auron's. So late game his damage really picked up, and that kind of took the burden off of Titus and Auron. And then also in the early game, well, going back into the early game, him getting access to Cheer and then also Dark Attack really helps out a lot when it comes down to keeping the mobs under control. Because again, Dark Attack is just so crucial throughout the entirety of the game. Because again, those random encounters are no joke. Then, even when you don't build him the way that I did, he'll still have access to all of his overdrives, which can really help you out. Mighty Guard and White Wind for survivability, Thrust Kick and Stone Breath on the random encounters, and then for some bosses and even some random encounters you can also get the Seed Burst, because that Confuse can also really bail you out. But that's enough of my rambling, so thanks again for listening. YouTube's always been a bit of a bucket list thing for me, and yeah, I appreciate anyone who's been along the way. Especially you guys in the comments. It's been a great time. Thank you. But that's all I got, so thanks again. If you liked the video, I like your face. Bye-bye.